Hey everybody, it's the ZenWitch here with another unboxing video. Unboxing the Tarot with another new-ish deck. The one that we're looking at tonight, or it's tonight for me whenever you're looking at it. When I'm looking at tonight is the Mystical Manga Tarot. This is one that, one of many decks that my daughter has gotten for me. She's awesome when it comes to gifting. So this is Mystical Manga Tarot. Down here it says Rann, R-A-N-N. Must be the artist. Text by Barbara Moore. This is copyright Llewellyn. Mystical Manga. Okay. And we have a magnety box. Ooh, I love this because when I studied tea ceremony, Japanese tea ceremony, but I got a box from my daughter's boyfriend of Chinese mooncakes. He was Chinese. And it's got that little magnet thing that I love. And I kept some of my tea things in it. But it's nice to have, just wait, that satisfying little click when it, okay, nice book inside, nice inside. Let's get the cards out. I love the ribbon to lift them out. Everything for the ease of my use. I love it. Okay, there's the backs. And this is also a deck that I've been playing with recently and did not put back into order. I'm so sorry. All right. 7 of Pentacles. I see little stars in the corners there. King of Swords. So obviously these have a very manga art style. And my family, that's me and my kids anyhow, are into everything Japanese and have been for quite some time now, for at least 10 years. My daughter for much longer. That was the Knight of Wands. That was the 5 of Pentacles. And let's back up a little bit here and look at her. Almost looks like there's a tree or a bush, but that is a woman weeping outside the window. Justice. Eight of Cups. Cups yet. Swords one's got. Okay, I'm sorting them as we go. The Hanged Man. The Ace of Wands. Strength. So we do have traditional tarot imagery here. For the most part, the moon very watery, with of course the saucy voluptuousness of anime and manga. And that's the 3 of Swords. Yes, traditional. There's the swords. The Lovers. I like the style. I'm just looking, I'm kind of assessing them in terms of, you know, traditional. 10 of Swords. There we go. That's, yeah, just a reimagining of the traditional, but it certainly depicts the standard. And there's 3 of Cups. The World. 4 of Swords. 5 of Cups. Page of Coins. Hierophant. 5 of Wands. 4 of Cups. Page of Swords. 2 of Pentacles. The Emperor. Knight of Coins. 9 of Coins. 9 of Wands. Ace of Swords. Empress. She's definitely not pregnant. Page of Cups. Queen of Coins. The Chariot. Knight of Swords. Is that the 10 of Wands? Yes. 7 of Cups. Ace of Cups. That's a lovely image. Page of Wands. 4 of Pentacles. The Star. More naked women. 2 of Cups. 10 of Pentacles. Now I'm going to tell you, I think women are absolutely beautiful. I love looking at beautiful women and depictions of beautiful women and beautiful depictions of women. I'm not necessarily down with a very narrow definition of what beautiful is. So I like to see the full spectrum. And sexism that is in our culture is certainly reflected in many, many, many of the tarot decks that we have and some of the standard imagery. So you'll hear me grumbling about these things, but I can still love the deck. It's just I'm acknowledging that, yes, this is now getting more glaring, that there's a lot of sexism in here. Page of Wands. Uh-oh. Did I start putting people in the wrong categories? Ugh. And you know what I'm realizing as I'm doing this? We have been way off of our keto diet. That's the 9. This is the 7 of Swords. Over the holidays, we consciously went off and just did everything the old traditional way. Lots of sugar, lots of grains. And I am feeling decidedly dull. My brain is feeling super, super dull. Not to mention that my body is hurting so bad. The sugar kicks off my IBS. The grains are killing my joints, absolutely killing them. So we are just eating up the last of the bad stuff. And we are going to be back on the keto wagon very soon. And I think I'll do a video about that if you're curious. Because I'm looking forward to feeling better again and losing this excess weight. Queen of Wands, that was Wheel of Fortune. I just showed Temperance. 3 of Wands, Death. Nice. 7 of Wands, the Magician. The 8 of Swords, blindfold card. Yep, High Priestess. 5 of Swords, 2 of Swords, the Devil, King of Wands, Queen of Cups, oops, Knigget of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, 4 of Cups, 6 of Swords, King of Coins, 8 of Wands, Judgment, 10 of Cups, 3 of Coins, the Sun, the Hermit, the Tower, and the Fool. So I gotta say, you know, I find myself getting kind of blasé about decks because I have so many. And there's kind of like, you know, there's me the reader and there's me the collector. And me the reader loves spending time, like most evenings. I will, you know, I'm sitting on the bed and I'll grab a deck and just sort of do a deeper dive into it and refresh my relationship with the deck and do some readings and stuff. But then there's the collector, and you know, I'm looking at these things just aesthetically and as part of the collection and in the bigger context of the art form of tarot decks. And I'm really sad now because I realized the other day I used to have a book that someone gave me, and it was the Encyclopedia of Tarot. It was like the first volume of that. And it was sort of just a history of decks that had been published, and it was current decks. I mean, they did have some you know, historical kind of things, but it was just sort of, here's the development of this art form. And I gave it away a long time ago. There was a Theosophical Society that I used to go do lectures at and stuff, and I was getting rid of books. So, and let me tell you what an event it is for me to get rid of a book. That's big. So I took it there because I thought, you know, that's going to reach more people that are interested in those sort of things, and they should have it more than I am. It was taking up too much space, and I wanted more decks, so I got rid of the book. And, you know, I'd kind of like to look at it again, but I also have to tell myself that there was a reason I let go of it. It would be interesting to have a little more, you know, have access again to a little more of the context of this journey of tarot, because obviously it has busted its banks. We had the first new decks that were coming out, you know, Rider Waite, and then everybody piggybacking off of that, and the many, many, many decks, the Morgan Greer and the Aquarian and the God, I don't even know, just all those decks that came out, you know, that were standard tarot and just a little slightly different reinterpretation of the style rather than the imagery. Now we are getting decks that really are reinterpreting the imagery in addition to the style. So you will hear people saying, you know, kind of with a nod to the traditional, but now we're bringing in things like gender equality and, you know, pagan imagery and getting away from the Abrahamic religions and, you know, things like that. So there is this wonderful evolution happening, and it's an explosion, and it makes it really hard for somebody that's a collector because I want them freaking all, and I also want to go after some of the classic decks that are out of print. I have several decks in my collection that are way, way, way out of print that I can't even find, you know, a reference to anywhere. So, you know, that's an interesting thing. But I find myself going, you know, back and forth between sort of being blasé of it's another deck and we're looking at this, and then as a reader going, you know, is this a tool that works for me, and I'm going to use this as, and you know, as a reading tool. And I guess at that point, as a reader, I do have the decks that are my tools, and every once in a while a new one gets added to that. But mostly they are added to the collection. Ooh, I'm handling these, and these are really comfy in my hand. So I sat here and just put all these in order for some strange reason, but there they are. So it's a beautiful deck. It is very pleasing in that, you know, the manga imagery. If you love that art style, you're definitely going to love this. Let's take a look at a meaning. Ooh, and looky, it's a color book. Mystical Manga Guidebook. Isn't that wonderful? Now, that's when you're getting your money's worth, okay? Good for you, Llewellyn. Let's see, other books by Barbara Moore. Tarot for Beginners, Tarot Spreads, The Steampunk Tarot, The Gilded, The Mystic Dreamer, Tarot of the Hidden Realm, Your Tarot, Your Right. Tarot of the Hidden Realm, that was one that I always wanted. Okay. So again, beautiful, glossy pages, color images. Oh, interesting. I'm going to go there because, okay, glossary and FAQs. So the glossary, they have the arcana, coins, court cards, cups, divination, layout, major arcana, minor arcana, querent, reader, reading, reversal, spread, swords, tarot deck, wands. So yeah, just a little glossary. That's nice. Does FAQs, does the tarot tell the future? Some people scoff at tarot, saying, I don't believe in that stuff. There are those showing how little they know about tarot. It's simply a deck of cards, so it's silly to not believe in something that's physically right there in front of them. What they usually mean is they don't believe that 78 pieces of cardstock can predict the future. They wouldn't be alone, as many successful readers don't believe this either. I'm one of them. In order to believe the tarot, or anything for that matter, can tell the future, you have to believe that the future can be predicted. Most people these days do think that it is possible to predict the future to some extent. Predict, after all, merely means to estimate that something will happen. We estimate all the time. For example, I may not know what I'm going to do on a specific day 6 months from now, but I have a pretty clear idea of what I'm going to do tomorrow. Okay, this brings me to a point. So predict to me means to say with certainty. It means to say and then have it come out, have it happen. All right. So there's that with certainty thing. And I don't believe it's impossible to predict the future. I know that when big crises happen, people all over the planet have premonitory dreams, have premonitions about it, and flashes of insight, you know, like the World Trade Center and Oklahoma City. There are people right beforehand that get this, but they don't, the thing is, they don't really know what it means. I saw this happening, but I don't know what it means, and they don't know when it's going to happen. So did they predict it? No, they got a flash of insight ahead of time. But to predict, to me, is to say, this is going to happen on this day and this time, and have it be with certainty. Okay? Because even what you say is going to happen can be open to interpretation. If you say there's going to be a big event at the end of this month, does that mean somebody's going to get pregnant? Does that mean there's going to be a big party? Does that mean the world's going to end? All of those are big events. So things can be interpreted. So, what it's saying here is that there's an estimation. And yes, and, there are some things that can be predicted. If you are 70 years old, no, forget that part. If you are anybody and have never been on a skateboard before and aren't necessarily athletic, and you jump on a skateboard and start heading down a hill towards a brick wall, I predict you're going to hit that wall. That's a pretty easy one, right? So you can predict things when things are set in motion, when energies are set in motion and wheels are turning, and they're obviously moving towards a particular place. It is easy to say, I think this is going to be the outcome. Unless this or that happens, I believe this will be the outcome. And in the spread that I do, my big Wheel of Fortune spread, when I get to the category of the future, what I say is, these cards are for the future. And as you know, the future does not exist. It's a fiction. What these cards say is, if no changes are made from the way things stand right now, here is a likely outcome. And if people have like done a lot of work towards something, and they know where they are, and they've made their choices, and they're stepping up and being responsible, and they're driving the boat, those future cards tend to be positive in that, yes, you're heading in the right direction. You're doing what you need to do. If people are in a quagmire and they don't know what they need to do, when we get to those future cards, it can either validate that you don't need to do anything, you're okay. It's not time to make big changes now. Or it can be, it really, really is time to make a big change, because these cards look like if you don't make any changes, things could get shitty. Okay, so that's the way I look at the whole prediction thing with tarot, and with astrology as well. So I like that they're stating that. I like what they're saying about it and the differentiation that they are making. So the answer to the question, does the tarot tell the future, is it depends on what you believe. Tarot is a tool, and you can use it however you like if it fits in your belief system. So I like that. Okay, yeah, now see, I need to read this whole thing, but I'm not going to read it all to you. The paragraph before that says, however, there are some readers. Now I'm going to back up another paragraph. If your experience leads you to believe that the future can be predicted to some extent, then you might think that the cards can do that. You may also, when doing readings, note that if the situation looks chaotic or the time frame is further out, you know that the prediction may not be certain. The bottom line is that very few readers today believe that the distant future is set in stone and can be predicted. Ding, ding, ding. Most readers who believe that the future can kind of be predicted also believe that the tarot can be used to find ways to proactively change outcomes. Free will is a powerful thing. Yes, 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 I like all this. However, there are some readers who do not believe that tarot can or should be used to tell the future at all. These readers are more interested in using the cards to help people figure things out and make good decisions. What else can you do, really? If you're sitting and telling somebody this is going to happen and this is going to happen and this is going to happen, are you really putting their hands on the wheel? Are you really handing them power tools? If I'm sitting and reading for somebody and I'm telling them, I'm giving them a description of the way things are. And if they have specific questions, I can describe it and show energies and options. And what my goal is to put those tools in their hands. Here are choices you can make. Here's some clarity about this, and here are the choices you can make. So how does tarot work? Where do the answers come from? I'm not going to read that to you. Do you have to be psychic to read tarot? Not necessarily. See question 2. Okay. So again, they talk about beliefs. But I want to go to question 5 here. 4 is, can I use the tarot to spy on my ex or tell me if my boyfriend is cheating on me? See, this is awesome because they're dealing with ethics here, and I like that right off the bat. Using the cards to read about other people without their permission is an ethical issue. Yes, it is. It's spying. And if you don't have enough of a relationship with a person to ask them what's going on, why do you need to spy on them? Get your attention on your own business. That's number 1. And then, there are questions like, and I believe that to do a reading, and we're stepping outside of ethics here into the discussion of possibility, to do a reading about someone else that's not there, to spy and ask for information, you have to have a dog in the fight, so to speak. You know, you've got to have a reason, you have to have a claim. So even, for instance, if something's going on with one of my kids, or something's going on with somebody I love and they're not talking to me, or I can't, it's too tender to ask, something, and I'm just like, give me a little bit of insight into what's happening here. I have a claim in that they are my loved ones and their happiness is my happiness, and I want to help them. So that is a claim. If you want to do a reading about, like, politically what's happening, give me an answer on this, try to see into the future if you want. I mean, it causes a lot of problems, it causes a lot of stress and worry that's unnecessary. But anyway, if you want to do it, you've got to have a dog in the fight. As I said, you've got to ask, in terms of, okay, what's going on in this country. My claim is I'm an American, it affects me. So you've got to have a claim of some sort. You can't just, here's a Hollywood star and I want to know what's going on in their private life. Plus, how can you ever validate it? Why would you want to spend your time on something you can never ever validate? So spy all you want, but just be aware. And then this next one, all right, a minute. If you have skills and believe it's possible, then yes, in theory you could spy on someone. Many reputable readers will not do that, though. In the first case, what your ex is doing is none of your business. In the second case, if you're even asking that question, there are bigger issues with the relationship. There are better ways to use the card that won't compromise your integrity. Yes, so I love what they're doing here. Number 5, are the cards evil? Are tarot cards evil? Nope. Gosh, this could be coming out of my mouth. They are cardstock with images printed on them. In the same way that a hammer isn't inherently evil but can either build a house or hurt someone, the tarot can be used to find guidance or provide solace, or it can be used to trick someone out of their money or worse. That's right. It all depends on whose hands it lies. It's a tool. It's a tool. Do the cards require special care? All they require is to be kept somewhere safe where they'll all stay together, not get lost, dirty, bent, wet, or burned. Beyond that, some readers believe the cards pick up the energy of people they read for and consequently clear them using various methods. Talking about passing it through the smoke of sage or incense, put them by a window under a full moon or in direct sunlight. I prefer the moon. Store them with a crystal, either one to absorb negative energy or instill positive energy. Put all the cards in order and reshuffle, just to name a few ways to cleanse them. Yes, lovely. Will cards show if someone is going to die? Ooh, that's a hard question. Most readers say no. Physical death, even if the death card is present, is rarely indicated. The cards are symbolic, and the death card usually represents a metaphoric death, the end of something like a period of trouble, a job, or a relationship. I have to tell you that there are, I think it's been twice, that the death card has shown up in a reading and it indicated death. And it very clearly indicated that, and the person immediately knew what the situation was and was already aware that someone was going to pass. The first time it happened, it was the first 3 cards out of the chute on a Wheel of Fortune, which is the what's going on around you. And I remember being the 9 of Swords and the death card, and I can't remember what the other one was. But I said, and it was in my mind, I'm wondering about someone's state of health, and her father was on his deathbed, and he in fact passed the next day. So as soon as that card came up, she said, I know what that's about. And there was another one I did, same thing. The person that I was reading for had a dear friend who was dying of cancer. And the exact same thing, the card came out. It was a whole different deck. It was Russian Gypsy deck, and I'll do a video on that one. But it came up, and the person again passed within a day. So it can. But again, like they were talking about prediction, it depends on how close something is. Now, if I'm doing a reading and the death card comes at, way in the future and something, I mean, what is that? But the times when it has indicated death has been when death is really imminent, and the person like even told me, I know what that's about, when that card showed up. So I love that they're doing this, and addressing these ethical issues. And what if the cards show an outcome I don't like? What can I do? Well, that's choice. That's why I say the future shows likely outcome if no changes are made. What if I don't like that outcome? Make a different choice. Why aren't there clear and agreed upon meanings for the cards? Do I really need to have a code of ethics? Ha ha ha. There's no law that says you have to have a code of ethics. However, it's a good idea to know what kinds of questions you're comfortable asking and what your boundaries are. So, yeah, I really like this. And we haven't even gotten to the cards yet. So they have practice spreads, how to do a reading, parts of a reading, extra touches, beginnings, endings, shuffling, laying down the cards, practice spreads. Ooh, multiple aces, twos, and threes, multiple fours, fives, and sixes, multiple sevens. It's like this person took one of my classes. And it also says that there's, you know, this is a discipline that is kind of all in our collective unconscious. When I do a reading, I will pay attention if I get two or more aces up, and especially if I get like an ace or two up and then there's nines and tens, that's telling me that the current situation is culminating, it's coming to its end, and the new beginning is already kicking off. Yeah, if you get, you know, like lots of, you know, aces, twos, threes, it's in the beginning stages, middle cards, all that kind of stuff. Interesting. Practice spreads. Everything's in color. This is wonderful. And Peanutty, if you're watching this, yeah, I haven't spent much time with this deck, but I'm really digging it now, and I'm going to. So there's Celtic Cross spread, Susan Blair Hunt's Yes No spread, generic choices, the one spread, and then the majors. So let's look at the Magician here. The Magician, along with the High Priestess, is half of the Fool's incarnate self, his true nature. The outgoing aspect wants to explore the world and to figure out the logic behind it. The Magician also wants to experiment with his natural abilities, trying things to see what happens. Blah, blah, blah. And then we have the divinatory meanings and the advice. Okay, so the divinatory meaning, power, skill, understanding the desire and ability to create. What is happening may not be obvious to the casual observer. True understanding requires seeing the world of possibilities. That means seeing through the eyes of magic. The advice, you have the skills you need to accomplish your goal. God, I mean, this is like my words. When the Magician comes up, I will tell them you have all the basic skills you need to do what you want to do now. Be willing to step outside your comfort zone and do something different. The situation calls for a magical act, which you can create. Do the thing, stand back, and be prepared to be amazed. That's awesome. And then if reversed, ask yourself, why am I afraid to push my skills further? Is there something holding me back, forcing me to stay in my comfort zone? That is wonderful. So there's the meaning, and then there's advice, and then when it's reversed, it's not gloom and doom. It's ask yourself this. Let's take another look here. If reversed, the Death card, ask myself, where am I stagnant and clinging to things I need to release? The advice, change is coming and it is necessary. Don't try to stop it. That means acknowledging grief and taking the time to mourn. To not do so only delays the process and eventual rebirth. Now let's look at the... Okay, now when we get into the suits, we don't have a description. We have a divinatory meaning, which also has some description. This card looks like loss. This is Five of Cups. This card looks like loss, but it is more about the emotional reaction to loss. There is the mourning of what is gone in isolation. There is the mourning of what is gone and isolation, the natural desire for privacy with one's grief. Two upright cups show that something still remains, something that can comfort and sustain when the time is right. Finally, there's the path back to community connection and what we may think of as normal everyday life. This is lovely. The advice, take the time to process your feelings because that's the only way to return to normal life, but know that even normal life will be different now. That's wonderful. Reversed, obsessing about the past, self-pity, repressing grief. So with these, it doesn't say ask yourself about if it's reversed. That's just for the majors because those are big life things. These are day-to-days. So reversed is obsessing about the past, self-pity, and repressing grief. This is a wonderful deck. I am so digging this. There's an appendix for further study, and there's a conclusion page, and I'm going to look at that. Wow, this is a long video. Conclusion. Your own magical quest has just begun. I hope these cards take you on some wonderful journeys of self-discovery. May they grant you guidance and advice and become like wise friends, always available whenever you need them. Continue to practice and explore the worlds of wisdom. The image is open. Awesome. Okay, so manga tarot, mystical manga tarot. I highly, highly recommend the, I don't know if I looked at copyright here. I got so excited by the full color. About the author, Rann is a French author and illustrator. She worked as a colorist for various comic books with Claire de Lune Editions and with Soleil for their short story magazine, L'Infust Mag. Okay. Barbara Moore is the writer. And this is the second printing in 2018, so first printing was 2017. So very new deck. And I cannot recommend it enough. I'm going to be spending some time with this deck. I have not even blessed it yet. And then off we go. All right, this has been the Zen Witch. Thanks for sticking around with me. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing and all that. And I will see you next time. Blessed be.